So I just kind of wanted to start off because I talked about the arraignment and why it was important, the indictment and the arraignment before, and now that happened yesterday, I just kind of wanted to touch on that just a little bit because it's as an arraignment you really don't expect to see much. For people who aren't familiar with the way the legal process works, the arraignment is typically just you come in and you're told what you're being charged with. They're supposed to give you the information of what you're being charged with. This is a lot of the time, this is when your lawyers or you yourself will for the first time actually see the direct charges that are laid against you. The indictment was all speculation. Everything everybody was saying during the indictment process was nothing but speculation. Is he being indicted for money? Is he being indicted because of the stuff with the corn star? Is he being indicted because of collusion allegations again? What exactly is going on? And turns out it's indictment for literal just political reasons, which is the actions of a banana republic. That's where you see this type of thing take place, is a banana republic. So this is problematic for several reasons. And it's not necessarily problematic just because they're indicting Trump and now he's got his arraignment and they're saying that it's for all these felonies, but it's really not. Everything that is actually in the documentation is incredibly flimsy. And if you need evidence to support that this is flimsy, you could look it up yourself because it was leaked. And we know it was leaked because the court did not unseal the documents yet. We know that Trump's lawyers did not leak it because they had just received the documents themselves. They didn't have the time to have leaked them, but they were put out. They were put out immediately. So the fact that they were put out immediately on media outlets leads to believe that the media was given these in advance. And then they just released it because, oh, well, the arraignment's over now, we can put it out there. Which isn't how it works, but they've clearly had it much earlier than they should have. Not only that, but then all of a sudden, you could look at that. You'd also go watch the CNN interview they did immediately following the end of the arraignment with John Bolton. Now, for those who don't remember, John Bolton was on the Trump administration at the very beginning, and he was one of the people that Trump ended up firing. Now, the reason this is important is because he doesn't like Trump. He doesn't want Trump to be president again. He was working against Trump. It's why he was fired. And they don't get along. So it's not something that he would like to see happen, to have Trump get off on these charges and not be thrown in jail, right? Although it wouldn't really matter because you can run for president from prison. It doesn't matter. It really is irrelevant. All it can do is discredit him, but people already don't trust Trump. They just watch what he says and then they fact check him anyways, right? So what's the point? I guess they could throw out just misinformation and lies like the media has done very successfully for a long time now, stating that something along the lines of you can't run for president from prison, which would be an outright lie. You 100% can. And not only this, but John Bolton was saying this is an incredibly flimsy case, that in fact, for his estimation, this is more flimsy than he feared it would be because he really wanted to see Trump get locked up. But they clearly don't have anything that's going to validate it. So it's kind of all just falling apart in real time, which to me is just kind of funny and interesting to watch happen. So something else that should be alarming that I think a lot of people missed is that this is clearly political and it was clearly designed by the Democratic Party to take place to prevent Trump from running for office. And the fact that the media rallies against Trump on a regular basis, and the fact that the DNC wants to orchestrate to prevent him from running for office, should just raise the questions of, why do they worry this much about a guy that is bombastic, that people see as being a potential threat or leak for intelligence and classified documents, things of this nature, because of the way that he runs his mouth, the way that he talks, which people on both sides pretty unanimously think he needs to calm the fuck down on. Thing is, Biden, during an interview, was stating that they need to prevent him from running for office, and all they need to do is show that they can stop him. This is literally the kind of actions that you see from dictatorships, from fascist regimes, from totalitarian regimes, from authoritarian regimes, and I'm not trying to poke fingers at the left. It's just that historically speaking, these are the groups of people that you see politically leveraging the media against their political opposition in order to get the people to rally to their side. These are the political alignments that typically are doing things to use the legal system to apprehend, arrest, and silence their opposition, whether it's somebody running for office, somebody who's in a position of leadership within the government, somebody who has political influence, somebody who has military influence or military power, or just everyday citizens that disagree with what they have to say. And if you don't think so, let's review why Pussy Riot was arrested and thrown in the gulag in Russia. Because they write songs that they sing very publicly in Russia about how shitty Putin is. Thrown in the gulag. Like, we all remember this, right? Because that was a big deal. They threw a punk band in prison for not liking the Russian politics and specifically talking shit about Putin. So, as just one of numerous examples that we could go through, if we wanted to sit here and deal with that for like 3 hours, we could. Just pulling up sources that back this up. When I was saying a banana republic is where you see this type of thing happen. Look at Venezuela, look at Brazil, look at Colombia, look at Guatemala. Look, all over Central and South America, these types of things have happened. All over the place. The reason it's called a banana republic is because of that region and these actions. So, once again, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying this is very clearly something coming from the left. There are the people that have been classified as rhinos that are Republicans that are also doing this, which is a fair statement, as that is an entire group of people on the right who identify as Republicans, who run for positions in political office as Republicans, who never really do anything that aligns with conservatives. Like people like Mitch McConnell, what the hell has he ever really done at all? Let alone that aligns with conservatism or Republicans. And I say all this as an anarchist who thinks both parties are shit. Like, not taking sides. I don't like either party. The problem is, I always assumed and saw leanings toward the right being the side and the Republicans being the side that were taking these actions that we had to be wary of, that we needed to keep an eye on, that we needed to make sure didn't abuse their authority and do this type of thing. Literally to do this exact type of thing. And the very first time I saw any of this really happen was the Patriot Act under Bush, a Republican. Then we had Obama, who said he was going to get rid of it. And all he did was extend the Patriot Act under a new name and gave it more authority to invade your lives, which we saw the result of with the leaks from Edward Snowden. Right? So it's not one side or the other is clean on this. They both do it. The fact is, the left is now the side, the Democrats are now the side running rampant with these actions, and that need to be paid attention to and put in check. And the media wants you to believe that these are the actions of the right, and they're doing this to protect you from these crazy, racist, phobic-ists that are on the right, and all that's done is create division on literally the flimsiest of charges imaginable. And it's not just Trump who's been charged with this. Like, and not only that, but when you're looking at things like $130,000, maybe $300,000 for campaign funds that go up into the tens to hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't remember how much Trump had raised and run with. I don't remember off the top of my head. But the point is that the amount of money that's being questioned is literally a drop in the bucket in comparison to the amount of money that campaigns run on. It's not uncommon to happen. And it's not like Trump personally oversaw all the money, where it went and how it was spent either. There are people within the campaign who are in charge of that. Now, as the leader, he's responsible. It's his shit. He's in charge of it. He's responsible. But if we're supposed to believe what we're being told by the media, which is that this, and people on the left who want to tell me crazy shit like they don't care about the left either, but yet they're always rushing to defend Biden. They're always attacking Trump. They're always attacking the right. They never attack the left, not once. They never have anything negative to say about the Democratic politicians at all. The fact is that those individuals, as well as the media, want to tell you that this is making sure that nobody is above the law. But the FBI's had Hunter Biden's laptop. They've been investigating Hunter Biden for 3 years now, I believe. And the FBI has also released statements saying that they have incriminating evidence against the entire Biden family, to include Joe, because of what they have on this laptop. And nothing's happening. Now, I understand he's currently the sitting president, so we don't want to do it at the moment. However, what about Bill Clinton? Like, he's got allegations of rape. He was on Epstein's plane no less than 20 times. He went out to Epstein's Island no less than 20 times. What about them? What about all the people on that list that apparently aren't facing any kind of repercussions? They're not being charged with any kind of crimes. We're not arresting them or going through their computers and their phone records and building a case against them at the moment to see about them and their involvement in child trafficking, child pornography, and exploiting of children, and the sex trafficking of children. So it's not about making sure no one's above the law, or they would hold themselves accountable. Would they not, on the left, be doing that? It seems to only be targeting Trump, and it seems to only be targeting people who support Trump, which, once again, these are the actions of banana republics, fascist regimes, socialist regimes, communist regimes, totalitarian regimes, authoritarian regimes, dictators. These aren't the actions of a free society. These aren't the actions of a just society. And if people don't take notice, it's only going to get worse. You give them an inch, and they will take a mile. And once they take that mile, they will run with it as far as they can. It's what they've always done. It's how they've always operated. And it's not going to stop today. It simply won't. It never has, and it never will. It will continue forever until they decide that they can no longer maintain running with it. And the only way to stop them from running with it is for everybody here to look at what's going on, and to realize they don't care about you. They only want to attack you. They only want to take from you, and they only want to stop you from having a voice. They want to stop you from having representation that actually represents you. Let's look at the TikTok bill, right? The Restrict Act, as they call it, which I believe was 686, section 686. Maybe it was 868, but I believe it was 686. I did a video on that as well, right? So look at that. It's supposed to be about restricting TikTok, but really it's all about restricting your financial capabilities for digital and online purchases, digital and online transactions, digital and online transfers of your currency to whatever if they feel the need to do so. These aren't the actions of a free society or a just society. They're lying to you constantly about what they're doing, and if you actually read the legislation, it proves it. It proves that that's what they're doing. And once again, this is a bipartisan bill. The TikTok bill is a bipartisan bill. This is Republicans and Democrats, and neither of them are pushing. There's been one or two bills that actually target TikTok, and neither of them have any ground. It is the Restrict Act that they are pushing together to get through, and it's not actually doing anything about TikTok, even if they pass it. It impacts you. They don't give a shit. It's not about your data. It's not about the kids. It's not about whatever they tell you it is. It's about power. It's about control. It's about building themselves into a position that's more fortified. Every time. And they're leveraging your children in this effort too. That way in the future it's easier for them to maintain, it's easier for them to do, and it's easier for them to gain ground on. For evidence of that, you can just look at the children in Tennessee that were protesting their politicians, right? Yelling at their politicians like, we want to be safe in school, make our school safe. Then you have these politicians walking through there with their hand on a armed guard's shoulder to get through children that are pissed off and worried about dying in school. Now, the thing is, why are these kids there saying we need gun reform? That's not because they think gun reform's going to work and from any kind of realistic basis. It's because that's what they've been told would work. Because that's what their teachers are telling them. Their teachers who I am willing to guarantee are all very left-leaning politically, because that is the trend in schools, is that they are run by people who are very left-leaning. The fact of the matter is, schools tend to not have armed guards. Schools are gun-free zones, meaning if a teacher goes and gets a concealed carry license, meaning that they've gone through the education, the training, the background checks, and had to ensure that they are proficient enough to carry a firearm in the public, those teachers aren't allowed to do so at work, at a school, to keep your children safe. Why not? Why not? Because we put a gun-free zone sign outside? That doesn't matter to criminals. It's not like a criminal looks at a gun-free zone sign and goes, oh, well, I guess I won't do this here. If that was what they thought, they wouldn't be committing crimes to begin with. Murder itself is a crime. So if you're already going to murder people, why would you go somewhere where people are armed? If you can go somewhere where people aren't armed. In the military, this was like if you had for instance, if schools had a single point of entry and armed guards at school A, and school B has multiple points of entry, no armed guards, you're going to look at school A and say, this is what in military terms we called a hard target. It's more difficult to penetrate. It's more difficult to access. The people in there are harder to get your hands on if you're trying to capture them, right? School B, that's a soft target. We don't have to worry about anybody being armed and fighting back. We don't have to worry about being funneled through one point of entry that they can narrow us down in and outnumber us. Like, for instance, 300 against the Persian army, right? Multiple points of entry makes it a soft target. So they leverage your children through this as well. It's a fucked up game. And hopefully people start paying attention to it because they do not care about you.